Untuk Bu Valen akan bergabungkah sesi siang ini?
Saya sudah hadir ini.
Sudah ada Mbak Valen.
Mbak Valen hadir.
Selamat siang semuanya.
Dan silakan dimulai saja.
Oke, kita right. Terima kasih Kak Iput. Welcome back everyone for the second session of today, the English presentation for the selection of most outstanding student faculty of law, Universitas Indonesia. Without further ado, I think we should go into the first contestant in the second session. Alex, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, judges, can we start now? Ibu Valen? Is it okay if I start counting?
Yes, Angga, please.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Valen. Okay, Alex, maybe I should review the rules for today's presentation. Basically, we're going to have 45 minutes for each contestant. It is divided into two sections. The first section is the first 15 minutes that you're going to present your paper. After that, you're going to have a Q&A session with the judges for 30 minutes. I'm going to give you a verbal cues when it reaches at the end of the 5 minutes and 1 minute. It might disturb you, but please bear with me because this is necessary for time constraints.
No problem at all.
All right. Okay, Alex, you can start your presentation from now.
All right, thank you very much. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, is it already visible, my screen?
Right, visible.
Okay, 1 second. All right, so I'm going to start my presentation. Good afternoon, dearest judges, committee, and friends that are watching right now. My name is Alexandra Alianta, and this is going to be my presentation for the most outstanding student of Faculty of Law. So before I begin, I would just like to thank everyone here that has given me the opportunity to actually be here. It's definitely is an honor for me. And just a little bit of a forward. When I was trying to make this paper, I was thinking of who should I dedicate it to? What target group am I targeting? I thought of education, I thought of the environment, but ultimately I decided to dedicate this idea for one of the groups in the community that I think is the most marginalized. Why? Because their sufferings, their hardships are seen as something normal, as something that it should be. So yeah, my presentation today is going to be about solutions on economic empowerment of inmates and ex-inmates in correctional institutions of Indonesia. Okay, so first of all, I am just going to show you the realities that they face daily. As we can see here from this news article, so many of these inmates, whenever they eventually get out of the correctional institution, they find a very hard time on finding jobs, on getting accepted back by their community. You can see here, they had to go back to stealing, and mostly it's dominated with economic motives. Next, in the regulation of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights, number 35, 2018, it is regulated about the revitalization of correctional institutions throughout Indonesia. So the revitalization consists of many things, but what I want to highlight is that it includes providing guidance, coaching, and vocational training for the inmates in medium security and minimum security cells. So as we can see, the definition here in Article 8, the revitalization has a goal to increase the quality of the correctional institution itself and promotes the rehabilitation of these inmates. So it puts forward correctional methods that focuses on changing the behavioral patterns of the inmates, often compared to therapy, although not in a medical context. So in this context, the punishment itself, it's not only for deterrence, nor is not only for giving like a deterrence effect and things like that, but it also puts forward correctional methods and rehabilitative methods. Moving on. So what are the issues if the regulation has already regulated that these inmates should be given trainings and guidance? One factor is the lack of vocational skills that could sustain them once they go back to society. And why does this issue still exist is because although the regulation has set standards on giving trainings, many correctional institutions in Indonesia are still unable to deliver these trainings and coachings. Why? Due to budgetary and resource issues. So most times they have other priorities to tend to, such as dealing with the facilities, dealing with overcrowding. Hence, the training itself, it's not maximalized yet. It's not optimalized yet. Now, the second problem, which to me is one of the most difficult problem to address, is stigma. When we think of inmates in society, we think of them as someone dangerous and scary, and that they are unable to work. They will bring bad influence. They could not be trusted. They are unable to change their ways, and etc., etc., etc. This really makes it difficult for them to get accepted back into society, and let alone finding jobs and being able to sustain themselves after finishing their punishment. So why do I think that this is important? Because if these problems are left unaddressed, there is potential risk where they will go back to committing crime. So yes, there is a lot of motives to committing crime, such as environment, but one of the most prominent one is the one motivated by poverty, by economic means. And recidivism is one of the main issues that contributes to the problem of overcrowding in Indonesia. So this is like a continuous cycle that we must cut down. In this slide, I am going to explain about the target beneficiaries of who is this targeted for. So there are 259,996 people, this total of inmates in correctional institutions in Indonesia. Around 4,500 is elderly and 1,500 are juveniles. So the majority are adults who are still within the productive age range as the main target. So this idea will focus mainly on inmates in medium security and minimum security cells, because they are the ones who, according to the regulations, are the ones who should receive the vocational trainings. The maximum security and super maximum security, it is more concerned on their personality training and personality guidance rather than vocational. So yeah, that is why I chose them as my target beneficiary. And this is just some more data on the overcrowding in Indonesia. As we can see here, it is a very big issue. Over the years, numbers just keep on adding up, and that is why this should be addressed as well. So some of the theories that I'm using at this paper is first the reformative theory, which punishment should aim to transform or rehabilitate so that the residents of these correctional facilities could become part of a law-abiding society after completing their sentence. And how do we reform? Reformation comes from acceptance, both physically and mentally. So if inmates could not accept the punishment, then the reformation could not happen. So how do we make it acceptable to them? Is that we make it humane. We make them see the benefits of what the punishment is trying to do to them through these trainings and these programs. It is also backed up with the utilitarian theory, so that punishment should be beneficial, both to give a deterrence and retributive effect, but also to provide secondary effects like mental reformation. And I also add up the sustainable development goals, which is no poverty, decent work and economic growth, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Because according to these SDGs, all members of society are deserving of decent work, of no poverty, and of peace, justice, and strong institutions, including inmates and ex-inmates. Moving on, so now I will be explaining about my solution mixes, consisting of optimalization of trainings and skill buildings. Second is creation of an integrated platform. And third is a regulatory approach. Why three and why not one? Because the author believes that an integrated solution is needed, and it should involve various actors in society. So it is a multifaceted approach. So first is the optimalization of training and skill building. So because it is already regulated by the regulation, now what we have to do is we have to intensify it. We have to optimize it. And how do we do that? We can do that through the collaboration of correctional institutions with NGOs, companies, or educational institutions who can facilitate these trainings. And this should also consider their age group, their characteristic, their needs, gender, and etc. Also, a very important point is that the completion of trainings must lead to some sort of certification and then an opportunity to put the trainings to work. So it does not stop at only giving trainings, but also certification and the creation of work opportunities. And the next few slides, I will be showing some examples. So this first sample is Pertamina is a company, and they use the CSR method on giving trainings to these inmates in Balikpapan. So they give machinery training. And the second is in the correctional institution in Tangerang. So they collaborated with beauty companies to create a beauty salon where all of the workers, all the masseurs, all of the employees are the inmates that has previously gotten training and previously certified. So that's what I meant by it should have a form of opportunity created for them after the training. This is some other examples. So this is an example very close to us by the University of Indonesia, especially this from Orchestra of the University of Indonesia, which I was also a part of. So during that time, we collaborated with the correctional institution in Bandung, where they received training for writing. So they made poetry, and we transformed those poetries into music, and then we performed it. So aside from them getting trainings, but through our performance, we also advocate, we also raise awareness to our audience that look, that they are human, that they have feelings, that they deserve a second chance as well. This example here is Jira Foundation. So what they do is they also provide trainings such as barista training and handicrafts, and those things, those products are actually sold for profit, and then the inmates can actually receive money from the program. And here in the COVID-19 scenario, the inmates in Banyuwangi, they produce a mask for them to sell and use.
4 minutes left.
All right, thank you. So next is the creation of an integrated platform. Many former residents or inmates, they still face difficulty finding work once they get out of the institution. So what I believe is beneficial for them is a platform such as a website or anything that can easily connect them with information on companies, on job vacancies, or other helpful information. And aside from the direct benefits for the inmates and ex-inmates, some indirect ones include increasing public awareness and hopefully starting a hiring chain. So a hiring chain is when one company started hiring these inmates and other companies see this trend happening and they decide that, oh, it's actually a good thing to do, it's a normal thing to do, and we should do the same as well, starting that chain reaction. So these are some examples of the platforms. This is 70 million jobs. This is a website from the United States where they specifically give out information on job opportunities for inmates. So they also help with creating resumes and connecting them to the job givers. This is also from Jira. As we can see here, they have a mentoring program, and these are actually reviews from the inmates about how they feel after they join the mentoring program. And here is another example. This is writeaprisoner.com, also based in the United States. This is where people can send messages and send letters to inmates, and they could talk about everything, starting from making friendships to seeking for jobs. So again, this is beneficial not only for the inmates, but also for other people in order to decrease that stigma that I have previously mentioned before, which is a really big problem. So yeah, the connection is what I think is very important. Now, the last step of this solution mix is the regulatory approach. I am aware that a regulatory approach is quite difficult, and it takes a very extensive research on whether regulations could be implemented in a certain country, in Indonesia or in Indonesia's economical climate at this point. But if challenges still remain, regulations are very favorable for ex-inmates, ex-convicts, because it gives incentives to company to actually hire them. So it's a win-win solution. An example for this is the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, or WOTC program in the US, and according to the US Department of Labor. So it is a tax credit given to employers to employ those who belong to certain groups, such as veterans and ex-convicts, ex-inmates. And research in the US shows that 59 out of 100 employers could consider hiring a former inmate under tax credit regulation and simplified paperwork. And in fact, if the former inmate could show certificate of training completion and good behavior, that number increases from 59 to 81 out of 100. So what does this number show? This number show that companies are actually willing to consider hiring these people. However, some incentives are required in order to do so, such as providing certification that could ensure that they can actually work and that they have good behavior. And then again, with the platform, making sure that the inmates are actually able to find this opportunity.
1 minute left.
Okay, since I only have 1 minute left, this is just a general overview of the program plan of how we can do this program. I know this is very simplified, but this is how it is. So these are the steps. And perhaps lastly, some additional information. The stakeholders are the Director General of Correctional Institutions, company, universities, NGOs, etc. And as we can see here, we have some sources of fundings as well. And to close off my presentation, this is a quote by Maya Angelou. I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better. So this admits they did then what they knew how to do. Now that they know better, they could do better. But us, as members of society, we should also know better. We should also have the compassion and forgiveness to give these people a second chance because they are human, just like you and me. Thank you very much. That's my presentation.
Okay, that's very on time.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Shall we continue to the question and answer session?
Yes.
Medina, do you mind if you do the honor to ask the first question to Alex?
Okay. Thank you, Alex, for your presentation. So, okay, so my question, how could your work improve these these former inmates' lives in economic terms? So, yeah, how could your work improve their lives? And then in your presentation, you mentioned about 4 ways of achieving these development targets, or 4 ways. So how did you arrive to have these 4 means? How the process of identifying the problem? So you had this conclusion that there are 4 ways of analysis in achieving the target.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam, for the question. So perhaps I'm going to show my presentation again. 1 second. So the first question is, how does this program improve the economic ability of this former inmates, right? So if you see the trends, once they get released from prison, it is very, very hard for them to get a job, to be accepted by society. And I think by providing these opportunities, such as the trainings, such as the job vacancies, such as the connection for them to connect with people who are able to give them chances, then definitely that is way better than nothing at all. So at least once they get released from this correctional institution, they already have the skill. That's the first. Then they have some sort of place to go to, which is the platform. They have a potential job to attend to. And with that mixes, it enables them to at least be a functioning member of society by having an income of their own. And even though maybe, let's say, the income is not very big, but to me, having that job, having that income will definitely decreases their chance of resorting back to doing crime, which is another thing that I am trying to avoid here with this program. Some research have also shown that actually when former inmates are hired in jobs, they perform better. They are more loyal because they know that this opportunity is rare and they should not waste it. So therefore, how my program aims to empower them economically is to give them the skill and to give them the opportunity and chance chance to access these jobs. And for the second question, I believe it's about the solution mixes. Am I correct? The steps, right? And how do I come into conclusion? Why do we need all these steps?
Yeah, why do you have these 4 ways?
Okay. So why do I believe that we need all three? Optimization of training, creation of an integrated platform, and a regulatory approach. Because I do not want to go with the solution with only one approach, which is, let's say, one approach with for the inmates only. Let's say we only build their skill. We only focus on making them skillful, giving them vocational trainings, but then that is also not enough, because once they go out, even though they have the skill, there is still some problems, such as the lack of job opportunities and the stigma that is very, very embedded in society. Hence, we need another layer of solution to that, which is the second layer, is just the creation of an integrated platform. So once that they have the skill, then they have the opportunity to connect with people, to find jobs, to prove to people that they are not what the society thinks they are, that they deserve a second chance. So that is the second layer. And the third layer, why do I feel like a regulatory approach is it has a high potential in fixing this whole issue, is because a regulatory approach actually gives an economic incentive to the employers, to the job givers. So it is very encouraging for them to hire this ex-inmates. That's why, for targeting it from all these perspectives, from the inmates, from the society, from companies and employers, which is why I come up with the solution mixes that I believe is a wholesome one. I hope that answers the question quite clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Medina, is there any question? A more question to Alex?
No, that's enough for me from now.
All right. Thank you very much, Medina. Maybe Ibrahim Imaduddin, Abang Ibrahim, would you like to ask question to Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Bang Angga. Good afternoon, Alex. Okay, so like I really appreciate you to bring up the issue, as one of the goals from Correctional Institute is to prepare the inmate to blend with this society once they finish their sentence. Okay, I have a question regarding the inmates. Is there any limited access for some inmate to access this program, or do you think this program should be implemented for all the inmates and without exception? Like, is there any limit age for the inmates to participate in this program, or is there any limited inmate, like such as for inmates who the criminal is like older or something, can be participated in this program, or do you think this program should be implemented for all? That's
All right.
the question.
All right. Thank you very much, Baim, for the wonderful question. So, are there any limitations? So I'm going to go back to my slide. So this is the target beneficiaries. So from all of these people, from this 259,000, my main target for the vocational trainings is for the inmates in medium security and minimum security cells, because according to the regulation, those are the inmates that should be given the vocational trainings, because those in higher security cells, they get of trainings, mostly to fix their personalities and their ideologies. And if we are talking about age groups, I think it is appropriate that the age group that we are targeting here are adults who are still within the productive age range, so 21 to 64. But that is solely for the vocational trainings that I have explained in this slide. So that's for this slide. However, for my other solution mixes, which is this creation of an integrated platform, and the third one about regulatory approach, I believe that all of the ex-inmates could benefit from this platform, whether they are old or whether they are young, whether they are job seekers, or whether they are already not in the productive age anymore. Why? Because this integrated platform should be very accessible to them. it means that it does not only provide information on job opportunities, but it could also help them connect with people who wants to help them, who wants to give them a second chance. So with this solution, a lot of people could benefit from it, not only the inmates in a certain age group. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, another question is, have you ever visited a prison that has a correctional institute that has conducted this kind of activities? Because in some correctional institutes, such as in Lapas Cibino, they already implemented this program. And if you have visit this kind of correctional institute that already implement this program, do you think there is something that can be improved, or is it already enough?
All right. Thank you so much for the question again, Bail. So, according to some research that I have already read, you are correct. Lapas Cibidong has already done this kind of programs. However, most correctional institutions, um, especially those outside of the Java Island, those outside of the main capital area, they are still very much struggling with providing facilities for the inmates, let alone to give them this training. So that is definitely something that should be improved on, and that is why we need help from other members, other parts of the society, not only relying on the correctional institution itself. But if you ask me, what could be improved if, let's say, the correctional institution in Cibidong has already done all these things perfectly and greatly, well, what could be improved is we could always add new opportunities. We could always add new forms of training. And the platform that I have previously talked about, that is also beneficial for all of these correctional institutions in a way that it emphasizes the effect, the positive effect that we are looking for. So I hope that answers the question, Mai.
One last question, maybe.
Yes.
Is the solution will also implemented in the juvenile penitentiary?
All right. As I have previously mentioned, this solution targets mostly adults in the productive age range as the main target. Why? Because I believe that juveniles also deserve to get the trainings and counseling, but we should focus more on bringing them back to education, giving them their access back to education, to interact again with young people their age, because juveniles, their personality has not been developed properly yet, and they have not seen all parts of the world yet. So they should focus first on receiving proper education after they finish their punishment, rather than going right to finding jobs and such. So that's a topic for another time, perhaps. But yeah, I hope that answered the questions, Baim.
Thank you, Alex, for the answer.
Thank you, Baim.
That's all, Bang Angga. Thank you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, Bang Baim. Maybe we're going next to the next judge. Mbak Felon, would you do the honor to ask question to Alex?
Okay, thank you, Angga. Okay, Alexandra. Okay, I do really like your idea, yeah, and your presentation was good. However, I'm wondering about several things. The first one, have you ever met with the inmates?
So should I answer that first question right away?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, Felon, for the first question. Personally, I have not have one-on-one contact with these inmates, but I have worked with them indirectly in this specific program, in this specific event, which is this one. This is a year-end concert by Orkestra Universitas Indonesia, Mahawaditra. I am a member of Mahawaditra as well. You can see here's my badge. So what we did was that we collaborated with the correctional institution of women in Bandung, and what they did was they get this trainings on writing. They get this trainings on writing, and they created these poems, these short stories, telling the people how they actually feel, the remorse they feel, or how they miss their family, how they regret what they have done. And what we do is that we take those writings, take those poetries, and then we turn them into music, and then we perform them to a live audience. So it was a very touching experience, and it is one of the events that really opened my eyes also, and that motivated me to actually write about this today, because then I see they are human. Then I see they also deserve a second chance, that they also feel the kind of sadness and remorse, and that if more people could understand that, if more people could open up their hearts to giving these people a second chance, then that would definitely make society a better place. So that's
Wow. Okay. Wow. It's very wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to make an example. Yeah. You work in a company at the human relations department. One of your duties is to take care of workers. One day, your company makes a policy of hiring the inmates. As a result, you have to work with some inmates of being convicted of the crime of rape.
Oh.
And you have to work late at night with them. What do you think about this policy?
All right. Thank you. Well, I don't want to sound like a rape apologist. That I don't want to make it seem like this whole program, this whole solution is meant to negate everything that they have done. We should also acknowledge that yes, they have done a really bad thing in the past, and that is why they are put in this correctional institution. So that's my firstly opening statement. Yeah. Um, but then if the policy calls for giving these people a second chance, giving these people job opportunities, then there are several things that should be considered. First, as we can see in the slide, they should have some sort of certification, some sort of proof that they have received guidance counseling, that they have received training that could ensure that they have actually gone through the procedures to make them a better person. So we are trying to be prudent here. We are not trying to just give opportunities to just about everyone. No, that is why this is a multifaceted solution, right? We begin with trainings, and then we end with giving them the opportunities. So without the first layer, which is trainings and the guidance counseling, then the last layer of giving the opportunity will not be able to be implemented as well. And yeah, it is very difficult to diminish that kind of fear, right? It is a very based fear, and it is also one of the reasons why stigmas are present in the society, because of fear, because they are scared of what these people might do to them. But if we are about to look at it in a positive light, people are not only afraid of, let's say, those who have committed rape. People are afraid of just about any inmate. People are afraid of people having tattoos, of people having done robbery before, right? So this is one of the methods where you are faced with a certain degree of uncomfortability, because you have to cooperate with these people who have certain past. But however, I also believe, if we try to see it in a positive light, that this kind of method is one of the most effective ones in diminishing the stigma, which is through direct contact, direct interaction. So if it is done well, properly, with the certification that I've talked about previously, then I believe that the solution could be done in a prudent manner. Yeah.
Okay, a very good answer. Yeah. Okay. Okay. My next question. Of the various reasons of hiring the inmates, yeah, you explain, which reason do you think is the best one? You have many reasons why we have to hire the inmates. So in your opinion, which one is the best reason why we have to do so?
All right. Thank you, Ravanan. So I believe that the best reason is the most fundamental reason, which is that they are human, that they also are like you and me, that they also make mistakes in the past, just worse mistakes than what we have probably done, and that they also deserve to get a life that is humane, that they also deserve to be treated as a human being. So that is my fundamental reason of creating this whole set of programs. But then again, if we try to go from that fundamental reason to other reasons, there's so many array of benefits in providing these opportunities for them. Mainly, it could cut down the number of recidivism, as I previously mentioned, and you don't know who you are helping when you're giving this job opportunities to them. Let's say we give a job opportunity to a 40-year-old ex-inmate who probably done robbery before. We don't know. When you give him a job opportunity, you are feeding his family. You are feeding his child. You are helping those young people that still live with him, live under him, to again have a humane life. So it is a very chain reaction. It's very interconnected. So that's that's my that's my answer. I hope
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yes. Okay. My last questions. As a university student, yeah, what will you do to start implementing your idea?
All right. So as university students, I see that one of our best qualities is that we have a huge platform. We have a huge platform on saying the things that we believe that needs to be advocated for. So as a very simple example, just me being here right now doing this presentation about this topic to all the judges, to my friends watching in YouTube, I already hope that it could open their eyes to giving these people a second chance. So that's the simplest thing that we can do. For we could advocate for the betterment, for the quality of life for these people. But then again, if you want to do more, then that's perfectly great. That's definitely something you can do. We see a lot of young people and university students out there right now creating movements, creating organizations that focuses on human rights matters. So as a part of my solution, that is why I put in here that the correctional institution should outreach, should do campaigns, and should invite these organizations and make it easier and accessible for them to actually contribute as well. So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Alexandra. I
So
do like your spirit.
oh, thank
Okay.
you so much.
Okay, thank you, Angga.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Fallon. We still have 10 minutes of question and answer session. Judges, do you want to waive the rights of asking to Alex, or we continue? Is there any judges that want to continue filing question to Alex? Mbak Dina, is there any more question? We still have 9 minutes. Or maybe Bang Baim, do you want to ask question?
Enough, Bang.
Okay, then I'll take it as the judge has waived the right 9 minutes rights of asking Alex. Thank you, Alex. That was a good presentation.
Thank
You
you
can
so
go.
much.
You can
Okay.
go back and becoming the participants in the Zoom. Next one, Nino, are you ready?
Bang, I have some technical issues with my presentations. Can I do an adjustment before
Sure.
the time is ticking?
Yep. No worries.
All right.
The scaling.
Oh, I see. Okay. Can you see my presentation now?
Right. Wait a second. The judges, can we continue for Nino session?
Yes, Angga, please.
All right. Thank you very much for the confirmation, Bu Fallon. Okay, Nino, you can start your presentation starting from now.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nino Navan Hudzaifi, Fhui class of 2018, one of the outstanding students finalists who in this moment will raise the topics as we can see in the PowerPoint, which basically aims to help students with disabilities in UI to get access to inclusive and quality educations in this university. First of all, I would like to say good afternoon to the honorable judges, Bang Ari Afriansyah. Heard lots of good stories and impressions of you from my junior Cristoin Manuel, though you're probably not inside the Zoom meeting. Mbak Felen, my lecturer in investment law and capital markets, really look up to you. Mbak Dina Diana, although we have never met, but I hope you are healthy and happy wherever you are. And last but not least, Ibrahim Madudin, Baim, one of my closest friends from freshman year who currently become the chairman of BPM Fhui. The next one that I want to elaborate first is the reasoning. The main reason why I brought up this topic is because I met my intern friend at Kantor Staf Presiden RI, Panji, a law student at the private university in Jakarta, who is a deaf person. Incredible man and very smart. And there is an interesting story about him when I first met him. I asked him what is his dream was, and he replied that I want to be the first deaf lawyer in Indonesia. Then the first thing I asked was, why don't you just enter UI? And then he said that I did my research and the conclusion is that in UI, there is no guarantee of complete assistance. While in my university now, I am given the personal assistant who can do sign language and my tuition is paid for free. This broke my heart a little. How could our campus, which is always said to be the best faculty of law in Indonesia, could lose the opportunity to produce a figure like him? Supposedly with the big names we have now, we should also have more obligations and have more awareness towards disabilities. Therefore, I try to examine what are the problems that exist in UI regarding this matter. Then next is my creative poster, in which consisted of abstracts, goals, obstacles, assistance, actions, and of course, solutions, which all have a continuous flow and the author will explain further in these presentations. This topic is very close to me, very up close and personal, and also very important. We continue to the scope of discussions in these presentations, namely students with disabilities in UI as the beneficiary group. Why the author chose this group is because the numbers of people with disabilities in Indonesia are increasing, but it's not accompanied by a good service system, good institutionalizations. As a result, their education is not sufficient to support them in the working field. It is ironic because, as we all know, education is the key to alleviate poverty. In UI itself, based on my research with Pak Tito, Dirmawa UI, or Directors of Students Affairs, there are at least 68 students with disabilities in 2019 in UI who are likely to increase over time. The next one is the supporting theories for the solutions, which based on 3 supporting theories, namely the theory to the right of educations, duty bearers and right holders, and as well as the principles of participations and inclusions. First is the right to education is one of the rights that exist in economic, social, and cultural rights, which must guaranteed by the 4I scheme, namely available, accessible, acceptable, and adaptable. The second is the duty bearers, which in this context is Indonesia as a state, and the right holders are citizens as individuals. The third is the principle of participation and inclusions, meaning that when we make a policy, it must within the involvement of the affected parties, which in this context is students with disabilities in UI. As for the theories, I refer to the result of my interview with 2 experts, namely Professor Fahri Bey and Billy Esratian, whose credentials can be seen in the following slide. Meanwhile, the problem identification, the most important thing, are obstacles that can be divided into 2, namely in general on the left side and specifically in online method on the right side, where for the general problems on the left side is divided into 3. The first is the messy database of students with disability resulting in different treatments from faculties in UI. The second is the uneven teaching competence of UI lecturers towards students with disabilities. This is because there is no centralized training standardizations by the UI rectorate. The third is the lack of understanding of various elements in UI regarding the material of persons with disabilities. Meanwhile, the main problems on the right side during online lectures, PJJ, are all related to technology, which is difficult to access and control for various reasons. Those problems are the reasons why the author wants to seek solutions in these presentations. All of the problems that the author described earlier were based on real complaints from 3 students with disabilities in UI, one of which is Nur Fauzi, FHUI, class of 2020, and 1 FHUI alumni with disabilities, Mbak Andira, the only one. My research is empirical, not just some research that based on written journals adopted from Google or something, but it is real because I already cross-checked it on the field. With that being said, I want to introduce my multi-layer solutions to tackle the issues, The first is the permanent establishment of an UI service unit for people with disabilities, which is required by the law of persons with disabilities, UU Penyandang Disabilitas. This first solution serves as a strategic policymaker regarding students with disabilities in UI. However, I'm not a student who can only read the laws. So I offered a second solution in the first solution if the first solution is difficult to implement, namely forming the UI Students Activity Unit or Unit Kegiatan Mahasiswa as a strategic decision maker at the student level. Finally, if this solution still fails, then I propose to form a social program called UI Ramah Disabilitas, which later aims to increase students and community awareness regarding disabilities. The program has 3 main events, namely sign language classes, Tour Inklusi, and Sahabat Disabilitas. Next is the urgency or foundations of the solutions, which consist of philosophical, sociological, and juridical foundation as written inside the PowerPoint. Next is smart analysis, which consists of specific to overcome the problem of access to inclusive education. The next second one is measurable. It can be seen from the potential impact on 68 students with disabilities in UI, at least 68. Acceptable can be accepted by the Indonesian people due to the principle of gotong royong. And realistic, I already received support and approval from various stakeholders such as BEM UI and DPM UI and also Dirmawa UI to conduct these solutions. The last one is time-bound, that these solutions has a 3 months deadline, which is targeted to be completed when display UKM for the freshman or maba is conducted. Then here I want to describe 3 targets to be aimed at these presentations. The first is to ensure that there is a data integration that is owned by UI down to the faculty. The second is to equalize competency and understanding related to the concept of persons with disabilities in UI. And the last one is to eradicate the problems that exist during online lecture or PJJ. Then here is the categorizations of solution based on 3 aspects, which is consisted of cost, time, and potential impact, which can be seen in the following table. This is the reason why I put each other in the first, second, or third place, or primary, secondary, or tertiary solutions. Next is an actions, where the first thing we do is to achieve the target is to carry out an advocacy action based on the principle of participation and inclusions of people with disabilities, which consists of 4 stages. First, to form a work theme. Second, make the strategy of advocacy. Third, make the advocacy goals. And the last one is planning the working process of the selected solution. Next one is the elaborations of the work plan of the chosen solutions. However, due to time constraints, I will only briefly describe it. The first is related to the establishment of the Disability Service Unit in UI, which goes like this step by step. From the reports of Ditmawa UI, which goes like to the formations of the rector degree. The next one is the formations of UKM UI from the initial finding member search to the endorsement by rector of UI. And the third is the formulations of the UI Ramah Disabilitas social project through the assistance of BEM UI. The process of which is as follows: from the planning stage until it can be started and carried out by the committee. The stakeholders. The next one is the stakeholders. The stakeholders in the solutions are the Minister of Education of Culture, the Rector of UI, as well as BEM UI, and also the DPM UI, and of course, students with disabilities in UI, which are explained in the following PowerPoint. Then, in closing, we have the conclusions and suggestions, where the core of the conclusions is that the right to implement inclusive education in UI is still far from good. And this needs to be corrected as soon as possible. Meanwhile, my recommendation is to implement the 3 solutions that I have described. For the record, all of my ideas and solutions have been supported by all the stakeholders I interviewed. So it is hoped that there will be no obstacles when implementing these solutions. I don't know if this isn't the perfect place for me to raise these concerns, then I don't know what is. So I hope that these solutions can be criticized by all of the judges here. I really open for your critics, your inputs, and also your questions. And I hope that I can elaborate comprehensively inside the questions and answer sessions. Thank you. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Nino. You still have 5 minutes if you want to add something in your presentation. I think you did a hurry.
I see. Okay. probably I wanted to explain, especially in the work plan and the primary solutions, which is the first thing that we need to do is to consolidate the work theme, and then we should give our advocacy to the subunit service of Ditmawa UI. And then after that, the Ditmawa UI will done a study review, or in Indonesia, tinjauan studi. And then the Ditmawa UI will have a meeting, and then the solutions will be brought upon the vice rector of UI level meeting. Whereas after that, the vice rector will create a team to draft the rector's decree. And then it will sign by director, and it will continue to get to work after that. The second one is regarding the description of work plan number 2, is the idea of establishment of UKM UI, or a student activity unit. Whereas, and the first thing that we're going to do is to find the members. The second one is to find the supervising lecturers. And then we should meet the formal requirements by the DPM UI, and then register it to the DPM UI Institutional Commission. And then after that, we should forward it to Ditmawa UI subunit of reasoning or unit penalaran, and then it will done to be forwarded to the rector UI. After that, the UKM UI is passed, and they should create a work plan and annual budget for Ditmawa UI, and then they can continue to get to work. And last but not least, probably that I will explain to you, to the judges. The first is regarding it should be categorized in BEM UI, if it's plan program or incidental program of BEM UI, and then we should create a proposal or grand design and then submit it to the Badan Pengurus Harian of BEM UI. After that, we continue to share it and present it to the chairman and vice chairman of BEM UI, ketua and wakil ketua BEM UI, and if it approved, and then we shall continue to verify and request to the DPM UI approval. After that, we should do a fit and proper test for the committees, and if it's accepted, then we can get to work. Probably that's all that I can explain. I think that's all from me, Bang Angga.
Oh, you still have 2 minutes left. All right. I mean,
it's okay.
It's lots of time. Okay.
Okay.
You want to waive it?
Okay. Probably I want to share to you guys that I also interview with all of the stakeholders here. The first one is the chairman of BEM UI, vice chairman of BEM UI, and the chairman of DPM UI. The second one is that I already also done research and interview with the head of UI Student with Disability Service team, only team, ad hoc team, not a permanent one. Dr. Anda Rita Damayanti MS PH, and also the last one is Fajar Adi Nugroho, the former chairman of BEM UI. So what I'm trying to say is this isn't some dreamy solutions. This isn't some dreamy projects, but it is very, very implementable and very approachable in my perspective as students, though it probably needs some help from all of the stakeholders, but I already confirmed with all of the stakeholders related that these solutions is very implementable, and they are giving their sincere agreements and their sincere approval to me when I done my research, including Professor Fahri Bey as the professor in Faculty of Law UI. I also done research in the faculty level with Surya Yudi Putra as the chairman of BEM FHUI right now, and also Bang Ibrahim Imaduddin, Baim, as the chairman of BPM UI now. Probably that's all from me, Bang Angga. Hope that answer your question.
Okay, we still have 15 seconds. Let's waive it then. You want to waive it, right?
Yes, I want to waive it.
All right, then we're going to start the Q&A session. Maybe Bang Baim, will you do the honor of asking the first question to Nino?
Okay, thank you, Bang Anda. Good afternoon, Nino. How are
Good
you?
afternoon.
Okay, the first question is which kind of communities you will be targeting to undergo this program, or who will be the target community in terms of people with disabilities for this program? Thank you, Nino.
Oh, I'm still muted. I'm very sorry. Thank you, Bai, for the question. It's very interesting. So the community that I want to target is the community that has an affection towards students with disabilities, have the concern of students with disabilities, and I hope and I think pretty certain that Bang Baim also have support towards the communities with disabilities to conduct the UKM UI. However, yeah, it depends towards the people itself. How we are gonna do that is basically by raising awareness throughout the social media, for example, in Instagram and also Line or WhatsApp. And regarding the targets that I want to support in this program is this student with disabilities that are categorized in persons with disabilities law or Undang-Undang Penyandang Disabilitas, which categorize into in general into two: physical disabilities and also mental disabilities. And I hope that's answer your questions.
Okay, Nino. The second question is, in the area of Universitas Indonesia, do you know about the student communities that have the core competence that provide the assistance for disabled person in Universitas Indonesia or in Indonesia? Have you ever met some of the communities, or do you even know that there is some communities that are already doing something like this?
Of course. There are actually inside the UI, when I research with Leon Alvinda, Yogi Sani, and Bang Yosia Setiadi, currently there is no communities that have interest in the students with disabilities. However, outside, as we all know, based on my research also with the chairman of BPM FHUI, that there is LSM NGOs that care for people with disabilities, which is Teman Tuli or even Abilitas ID, and there's a lot more. I hope that answer your question, Bang Baim.
And the following up question is, have you met with them or have you talked with them about your program, and have you asked about them about the difficulty in creating a new communities that have the confidence to assist the disabled person?
Actually, due to time constraints, though I have a deadline only a week to meet with a lot of people and stakeholders, the short answer is I haven't really met them yet. However, actually, I already create an appointment to meet with them next week, because right now I'm currently in previous week I have a lot of exam and also assignments, so basically only the NGOs itself doesn't have the time, so we're not matched in the time wise. However, yes, I wanted to make an appointment with them next week to do interview and research. However, by these presentations I perform it to all of the judges here, I haven't discuss with them yet.
Okay. Another question is, how will you bring out your ideas to solve this problem to the university? Will you bring out these ideas through yourself, like what you did to Bang Dito, or will you bring out these ideas through the BEM UI or the PEM UI?
So what I'm trying to do is that I need to approach a lot of multi-stakeholders from the closest one, from BEM FHUI, from the BPM FHUI, and then in the faculty level, and then we should forward it, continue to the university level from BEM UI and then the PEM UI. So basically, it's a multi-layer approach. Not just me as being individual will, talk to the Dirmawa UI and then to the rectorate, because this concern is our obligation, not only just me as individual, but we need to get a lot of people So basically, if I may, I will go back to my presentations in this action sessions that we will create a work team. This working team is consisted of various people that cares for students with disabilities. For example, probably Bang Baim wants to be one of the committee inside the working team to advocate until creating a planning of the work plan. So after we create a work theme, mapping the advocacy strategies, formulating advocacy goals, planning on the work plan, and then we will go to the Dirmawa UI. So it basically step-by-step approach, not just me go to the directorate and then Pa, I think we need to do this and that. No, but we have to do consolidations before we're going to go to the Dirmawa UI. Hope that answer your question, Bang.
Okay, the last question is, what if all the proposal that have been submitted to all these stakeholders is been rejected by all these stakeholders, whether it's BEM UI, DPM UI, or Dirmawa UI, all of them rejected your solution. What can you do as university? What can you do as a student to solve this problem?
All right. If though it's probably will not go that way because I already confirmed it to the multi-stakeholders. However, if that's the thing that happened on in the field, what I'm trying to do is I'm seeking for help outside the UI. So there's a lot of NGOs that you've mentioned. So I will go to them and then I will raise this concern and then ask for their help, and probably we can cooperate. Probably we can conduct or find a solutions of one or two problems that currently the students with disabilities facing right now at hand. I hope that answer your questions also, Bang. Very good, great questions.
Bang Angga, that's all maybe for now. Thank you, Bang. Thank you, Nino.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Baim. Maybe Ibu Dina, would you do the honor to ask Nino a question? Ibu Dina. Oh, yeah, right.
Sorry. Okay, Nino. My questions first. In your proposal and in your presentation, you offered 3 solutions. And I would like to know what are the challenges in implementing those solutions. If one of them, for example, is accepted. And then the second question, you did many interviews, yeah? That's good. So did you visit universities that have facilities for the disabled during your research? If so, what were your findings?
All right. Thank you, Mbak Dina. Very interesting questions, though. The first regarding the first questions, the problems that I may overcome from the first solution is the bureaucratical problems, because in the first solutions we wanted to create that every students with disabilities wanted is to create unit layanan disabilitas or disability service unit. However, it needs a political will from the upper level, from director up to vice director and so on and so forth. So if it's accepted, alhamdulillah, if it's accepted, then the problem is probably how we make it multi-diverse from not only the lecturers, but also the students. So basically we have to go hand in hand, and that needs a lot of, projects to raise their awareness. Because right now, as for myself, when I met my friend Panji, the deaf person that I mentioned in the first or the second presentations, is that I don't know how to communicate with him, because I never met a deaf person before. So, and then I told by my other friends that if you want to communicate with them, you should open your mask and then they can read your mouth what we are trying to say. That's why the problems of all solution is basically the awareness of people that okay, this is the problems, and we already agree that this is a problems that we need to tackle. However, yeah, probably this problem is not their main priorities. So probably that's the current problem with the first solution. This actually the second solution is also have the same problem. It's regarding the awareness, and the third one is probably regarding the third solutions having a problem with the allocation of budget because yeah, it needs a lot of money, yeah, 10 to 15 millions. However, I think if we bring up UI's name with a big name we have now, if we go to and pitch to the corporation, yeah, probably they will give us the CSR money. However, yeah, it depends towards the committee later. I hope that's answered the first question. Regarding the second questions, it is very interesting because I also wanted to create an appointment with the name is PSLD Universitas Brawijaya, if I'm not mistaken. It's Pusat Layanan dan Studi Disabilitas Universitas Brawijaya. However, it needs a lot of bureaucratical letters that I cannot finish in span of 1 week because the deadline of this academic paper is only a week. So basically, I fail to make it a success because if I wanted to do interview with them, I need to have an official letter from UI. However, if I see what I'm collected from internet regarding the Pusat Layanan Disabilitas of Universitas Brawijaya, they have the best services unit in Indonesia. Probably for the students with disabilities, UI for them is Universitas Brawijaya because yeah, they can help from the day-to-day basis support system. They supported by assistant who can do sign language, and the examination is adapted with their system. So basically, UB is very good. And the second one is I already researched with the head of unit kegiatan mahasiswa UGM Peduli Difabel, their name Yader. If this improve. So I did research with Bagas Yader, one of the head of UGM Peduli Difabel, and he said that in UGM they allocate the money not in the disability service unit but to the UGM with a lot of money, up to 100 millions, up to 100 juta rupiah, only to support the students with disabilities in UGM. So there's a lot of solutions that we can do. There are a lot of alternatives. Yeah, well, it depends towards the people who are currently in the higher level, and also it depends also to us as a students. I think I hope that's answer your question, Badina.
I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I would like to know, what are your strategies so that your ideas can be disseminated, can be like widespread?
Okay, my strategy is that I will collect a lot of voices or supports, and probably from petition to bring up to the Dirmawa UI and also to the director of UI, and then we can do a presentations in their meeting that this is what we want to do. This is what UI students want to do, want to help the people in needs regarding this student with disabilities facilities. And we will do with this action, forming a work theme, mapping advocacy strategies, formulating advocacy goals, and planning the work plan. So basically it's step-by-step mechanism. I hope that the solutions will be implemented in UI. yeah, probably in a short term, and the target is 3 months. Hope that answered your question, but
Okay, thank you, Nino.
you're welcome.
Mbak Dina, there's no more question? Or all right, thank you, Mbak Dina. Okay, we're going to the next judge. Ibu Felon, will you do the honor to ask question to Nino?
Okay, thank you, Angga. Nino, Nino, yeah, Nino. Okay, Nino, you have wonderful idea, yeah, about UI and the acceptance of students with disabilities. I'm wondering about the entrance test. Yeah, in your opinion, what will be the best entrance test to make sure people with disabilities can study well at UI?
All right. Thank you, Mbak Helen, for the question. This is very interesting also because my first solution is to create a service unit for students with disabilities in UI, in which one of the reason why I hope that there is a service unit in UI regarding this matter is because the one who will conduct a study to create a selective process is this solution. This the first solution is the service unit itself. After that, they can advise the rectorate or vice rector of academic, I think, to create a selection process that is fair for the people with students with disabilities, to the students with disabilities. However, as for the selection process right now, is actually already, in my opinion and based on my research, is already adaptable to the people, because if it's not, then Nur Fauzi here, David Septiandi, and Raditya will not get accepted to Universitas Indonesia. However, that's probably only for disabilities with blind categorizations. Probably with the other, for example, like mental illness, for example, like autism, and the other mental disabilities cannot do the same, because we have to be more adaptive towards, we need to do a study before we create the, the solutions or the approach that we want to target. I hope that answered your question. But
okay, that's good. Nino, what will be the benefit for UI? For UI, if UI accepts more students with disabilities.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the benefits of UI, probably, if I may put my personal perspective, is that UI can be a leader in this field and tell all of the universities here in Universitas Indonesia, we are not just world-class university inside the writings or the publication from some websites, but we also conducted on the field really well. We open for all of the students that are smart and have the willingness to study. We create declarations to all of the universities that we are the best, that we can create people, a beautiful, a wonderful, and a smart person, inspirational person from UI. That and I think that I hope that Nur Fauzi here, his dream was, when I discuss, when I do interview with him, his dream was to be accepted at Harvard Law School and the graduate. I hope that he can be the first also blind lawyers in Indonesia, or probably the first blind judges in Indonesia, or even the first lecturers that have a blind conditions. Because right now, if I may ask to all of the judges here, how much lecturers that are currently facing disabilities, I think there are none. So it will be good if, make a difference, that we create a difference, create a history. That's what I hope from this yellow jackets that I'm proud of with my alma mater. Hope that answer your question, Mbak. I think it's still muted, Mbak. I am very sorry.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Nino, could UI still be the best university in Indonesia if UI do such thing, accepts more students with disabilities?
Thank you. The short answer is of course, because I believe that if we accept more people with disabilities, the disabilities itself will have to face the selection process also. So basically, a creme de la creme, the best of the best. Though it's students with disabilities, however, we have a certain quota, right? For example, Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia accept only 10% with disabilities. And then, yeah, the registrants, probably 1,000. It will be selected up until 10. For example, with this affirmation selection process. Yeah, it's still the best of the best. So basically, the 10% will create and make a difference when they're graduated from UI. So yeah, I hope that, yeah, I don't know for sure, but I believe inside my heart that, yeah, UI still be the best university, because UI is the best because of their alumni, not only the name of the university. Yeah, I hope that I can share the spirit to all of the judges here to agree with my solutions. Thank you.
I do agree with your opinion. Yeah, that's a good opinion. Okay. The last one, what will be the benefit for the society if we implement your idea?
All right. So benefit of the society, as we can see here, that currently there are 30 millions, 30 juta people with disabilities in Indonesia. 20 millions of them, 20 juta, is a productive in a productive age. And based on my research, that a lot of family that have people with disabilities live under the line of poor line. So basically, they're still under the poverty. So the potential, what if we help these people, all of those people with good study, with good quality educations. There are a lot of family that we bring up to the poverty. So basically, they can change from poor, I'm sorry for my word, but from poor up to the middle class. So the benefit to the society, yeah, of course, yeah, it can, reduce poverty in Indonesia. That's probably the line that I want to strengthen to the judges.
Okay, thank you, Nina, for your explanation. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm hoping you still have the spirit to implement your idea. Okay, thank you, Angga.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Felon. We still have 6 minutes. Is there any other judges that want to ask a question? Mbak Dina or maybe Bang Baim? Is there any additional question? We still have 5 minutes. Or maybe if the judges don't want to ask a question, can I ask a question?
Sure, Bang Angga. Really
okay.
open.
Okay. I see that your presentation is very focuses on the students. I want to ask about the plans about your, what is it called? Your measurement. Is the human capital ready, the facility ready in UI, in taking these ideas into reality?
Yes.
Do you have any plans in that? I mean, if we're having the same spirit, you've been appreciated by the spirit, but the thing is, it needs to be realized, right? So do you have any plans in that? Maybe trainings, something?
All right. Thank you, Bang Angga, for the question. This is very interesting because, as we all know, and probably we already know, that the Faculty of Law has a very great facilities towards the students with disabilities that can support students with disabilities. We have lift, elevator, for example. We have the roads that already specified for the students with disabilities. The facilities are already good. Probably not in every faculties like FHUI. However, when I discussed it with Dirmawa UI, Pak Tito, he said that one of their focus is to create the facilities more accessible towards the students with disabilities. So it's one of his promises. However, if you say that is the human capital's ready, the short answer is probably not, because the lectures itself is not, the quality is not equal for the lectures. Probably Bang Angga, I put that in the second problems in the left side, uneven competence of UI educators or the lecturers. For example, Bang Angga probably is very talented lecturers that can adapt to the students with disabilities. However, the other lecturers is not. Therefore, I need these students with the service unit from UI to create a training. So basically, this unit can do a lot of things. And this is the main problems, because we don't have the unit that can take a lot of multi-diverse problems, because this is the core of the solutions. If we have the units, we can create a selection measures, affirmation selections measures towards the students with disabilities. We can create training programs for the lecturers. We can create, advocacy or programs in UI that can raise the awareness of UI students, and so on and so forth. So basically, if this unit is conducted, and I believe that a lot of problems or concern that is raised by all of the judges and also Bang Angga here can be tackled. Because regarding the money or the allocations of the donations, actually when the ad hoc team of students with disabilities unit are conducted, there's a lot of donations from the corporations and also the foreign universities. For example, from Erasmus and the other universities. That was said by the head team, Dr. Rita. Probably I already showed to you guys who she is. Yes, Dr. Anda Rita.
Maybe Nino, because the time constraint is we have only 2 minutes, but I have two things that I need to I think I need to tell you. I mean, in the education sector, there are basically three categories of manpower, human capital, basically the students, the teachers, and also the administrative staff. Yes. You're only talking about the students and the teachers. So yeah, and you forgot about the administrative staff. And this is your specifically talks about UI. And my concern if you go internationals, that might become hindrance to you in the future. So I think you should think about this in the more holistic and wide manners. Yeah, maybe you can answer the first question about the administrative stuff. So we only have 1 minute.
What I need to clarify is that the administration staff is also included, Bang, because if the unit will create a training program, the administration staff is also included, not only the lecturers. However, we have a certain priority, right? The lecturer first, and then later the administration staff, because the one that facing the students with disabilities day to day is the lecturers. For example, like vaccine, the government have this certain priorities. For example, the government first, the government administration first, and then the lecturers, and then the teachers. Yeah. I think it's about the strategy and also the priorities. Regarding when I go international for this solution, of course, I will be more adaptive. However, I have to look at the field itself, because, in 1 week span of deadline, I want to create a difference, not only just for the sake of winning this Pilmapres. I want to make a difference towards OE, because I have a dream to be the president. So basically, I need to be more, benefit to.
Even though this is my question, but your time has elapsed, so
okay.
It's okay if you're you don't need to answer it more.
Thank you, Bang Angga.
Okay, Nino is the last finalist of the most outstanding students this year. So, Bang Gun, shall we end this session, or is there any stuffs that maybe Bang Gun or Mbak Safit wants to say to the finalists, or maybe wants to announce?
Bang Gun. wait.
I think Bang Gun is in another meeting.
Mbak Iput?
Yeah, maybe Mbak Iput.
Bang Gun is still in the meeting with Birmawa.
So ada yang mau disampaikan Mbak Iput, Mbak Safit?
Enough ya Mbak Iput.
Okay. Hello.
Nino is right.
Yes, Mbak.
Yes, Nino is the last. If it's already finished with Nino, I think it can be the end of the session for this afternoon.
Right. Thank you, Bang Mbak, and all of the judges for the opportunity. It's an honor to me, and I probably have to go back to the classes. Thank you, Bang Mbak.
Okay, good luck, Nino.
Thank you, Mbak Iput.
Okay, then we're going to close up this session and this series of event. Thank you for the judges, Ibu Felen, Ibu Dina, Bang Baim, and also Pak Ari Afriansyah that give their time to judge the finalists. We're really grateful to your participations. Thank you for the committees, the chairman, Abang Gun Narsa, and then the staffs, Mbak Iput, Mbak Ugi, Mbak Safit, Mbak Ratu, and everyone. We're going to close this session. Hopefully you guys stay healthy because of the pandemics, and see you in the next opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anggas. Thank you.